All right, everybody, what's happening? Welcome to another edition of SWAC Talk Show. We cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Sea Wells coming at you, and we're gonna continue to recap the SWAC tournament. The first two semifinals are in the books. One men's semifinals, one women's semifinals. They're both in the books, all done, complete. So we're gonna talk about these games and see where we headed. We got two semifinals coming up tonight. Championship games are tomorrow, so this tournament is coming to its conclusion, and the bid for the NCAA tournament is up for grabs tomorrow. So first off, we'll start off with the women's semifinal number one. Alabama State defeats Grambling 74-59. That was a 3 seed over a 7 seed. The Hornets get it done. Basically, they control this game pretty much. Um, they led 36-24 at half, and they kind of cruised from there. So they did not have to really exert a lot of energy in this one. Grambling made a good run at it, pulling off an upset in the first game. Luck kind of ran out at this point, but they were led by Alexis Hope with 24 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Solid game for her. Really, really good game. 12 points from Justice Coleman, and that was it for the scoring on this team. The next scorers after that had 4 points. Two players had, Williams had 9, and then two players had 4. So not a lot of scoring from everybody else on the team. As you can see, they scored 59 points. So just not a they beat Alabama State at the end of the season on the last game of the season. So Alabama State was hungry to get some get back, and that they did. Grambling shot 31% from the field, 19% from three, and 75% from the free throw line. They had 35 rebounds on the night, 11 assists, 6 steals, 2 blocks, 17 turnovers, and 22 fouls. A game like this, there's not a lot to really take from it. Alabama State did what they needed to do and seal their trip to the championship game. Shamaya Ward, 20 points for Alabama State, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. Crawford, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Emmanuel, 18 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double for her, 2 assists, 2 steals. Big game for those 3 ladies. Other than that, they didn't get a lot of scoring. The only other one on the other 2 starters combined for 3 points, and they got 11 points over their bench. So this was a 3-woman show, and they did what they needed to do. They got it done, and they moving on to the championship game. They shot 44% from the field, 37% from 3, and 81% from the line. They had 44 rebounds, so they all rebounded Grambling by 9. They had 14 assists, 8 steals, 5 blocks, 14 turnovers, and they committed 23 fouls. So they move on to tomorrow's championship game at 1:30 p.m. ESPN Plus broadcast. They await the winner of Jackson State, the 1 seed, and Southern, the 4 seed. That game tips off at about 5:30. So in about an hour, that game will take place, and we'll recap that game tonight. And after that game, we'll have our final matchup set. Grambling made it, like I said, they made a good run. They came in, they upset Alabama A&M, and then they just ran into a three-headed monster for the Lady Hornets, who took care of business and moved on. The crazy thing is Grambling was the 7th seed, but they were 10-8 in conference, so it's not like they were some 5-13 team. This was a very solid team. The seedings in men and women's side have been, everybody's undefeated, honestly, because everybody's so even. Teams probably could be higher than what they are. Most teams would, in other years, most teams would finish higher than where they are because of the parity in the league this year. JSU women's team is ahead of everybody else, but from 2 on down, there's not a huge difference in teams. And the same thing on the men's side. Honestly, from 1 on down, there's not a huge difference. And like I said, when I did the preview on the men's side, I felt like any of the 8 teams that made the tournament can win. Now, obviously, the bulk of them are gone now, but everybody that remains, I still feel like they can win the championship. There's nobody who I feel like doesn't have a chance. They just have to get there. And speaking of getting there, We're gonna talk about TSU defeating Grambling 73-54. This game was a 30-point margin for a good stretch of the second half. Grambling made a late run to kind of pull the margin down to 19, but TSU controlled this game after halftime. The score was 35-24 at half, and they came out and they really just went in early in the second half, and took control of this game. They they made Grambling work for everything that they wanted, and they just did not allow Grambling any chance to get comfortable. Um, After Grambling kind of raced out and got off to a hot start, but from the start of the second half to probably, let's say, midpoint of the second half, TSU controlled this game. They really put this game out of reach early. They knocked Grambling out early, and by about the 15-minute mark, they were up by 20 points, and then they stretched it to 30, and they just kind of took care of business and won this game. Grambling again, just like the women, they made a good run. They the sixth seed, so they won a first round game, and they just ran into a buzzsaw in the second round. This was probably one of the best TSU games I've seen them play as a team this SWAC season, because this team's been up and down all year. But I keep saying this team is built for March. Coach Jones, this is what he knows. They know that what it's important to get in, and then when you get in, then you take care of business. So this team is focused. This was the effort that they put on. It's tough to blow anybody out by any margin, and especially in a tournament setting. You playing a team who came in off of an emotional victory. I don't know if they used up all their gas, or if TSU just was ready. TSU had a day off. They were ready. They prepared, and they made shots. They defended well. They did everything, man. They had a lot of good backdoor cuts. They moved the ball really well. They moved without the ball really well in this game. And this is the TSU that I expected to see for the bulk of the season. So if they're hitting that stride now, then whoever they face on Saturday is going to be in trouble. And I'm saying that I picked TSU to win the tournament, and they right now are proving that to be a good pick. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Grambling was led by Shondarius Coward with 20 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals. And other than that, McCray had 10 points for Grambling. He had 7 rebounds as well. Grambling, like I said, they just, could not get it going in the second half. They shot 32% from the field, 15% from 3, and 72% from the free throw line. They had 33 rebounds, 4 assists, 11 steals, 4 blocks, and 13 turnovers. They only committed 8 fouls, so at least they did something. But for a long stretch of the game, I would say almost to the midpoint of the second half, they had 1 assist. And I mean, you're not scoring a lot, but you're not getting any baskets off of extra passes. You kind of bring it up, and the guy who get the ball is taking it and scoring. There wasn't really any flow to their offense. Defensively, they couldn't really get in any kind of rhythm on defense. And TSU just bombarded them, especially in the early goings of the second half. That's what really changed this game. His 11-point halftime lead, that's manageable. But TSU just went on a run coming out of the locker room, and they were one of the few teams in this tournament to come out hot in the second half. Everybody's been coming out cold in the second half. TSU came out scorching hot and put this game away early. They were led by PJ Henry with 18 points, 7 rebounds, also 11 points for Etienne, and 3 rebounds, 3 assists for him, 1 steal. Gresham, 11 points. He only had 2 rebounds on the night. He had 1 steal and 2 blocks. Jordan Carl Nicholas had 7 rebounds on the night, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block to go. He only had 2 points, but he did a lot of other things in this game. John Walker, 9 points, 4 rebounds, a couple of big shots that he made. John Jones, 10 points for him. He made 2 threes. He had 4 rebounds on the night. TSU had 33 rebounds, so the rebounding margin was even. They had, they had 44 rebounds. I keep looking at the defensive rebounds. They had 44 rebounds, so they won the rebound margin by 11. 14 assists, 6 steals, 17 turnovers, and 4 blocks. They committed 14 fouls, and they shot 44% from the field, 37% from three, and 100% from the free throw line, 7 of 7. Not a lot of trips to the line, but they made all their free throws. In a game that free throws probably wasn't necessary, but they made them all. So I'm always going to salute you for that, because free throw shooting is very important, and it can be really important in the next game. And speaking of the next game, TSU moves on to the SWAC final tomorrow, 5 p.m. ESPNU broadcast live. They await the winner of Alabama A&M, the 5 seed, and Alcorn, the 1 seed. That game tips off at about 8:30 tonight. So there's gonna be a really interesting affair. We'll see how it goes. TSU, they have an opportunity. They did get swept by Alcorn, but both games were close. So they have a chance to kind of get some revenge in that situation. They lost by 3 at home, and they lost by 1 on the road. Alabama A&M, they defeated in their only meeting 78-44. So they can get it just depends. But I still think, regardless of who TSU plays, I would favor them in the game, because I think they're peaking at the right time, and I think they're gonna be dangerous. So that's gonna do it for this show today. Where right now we'll be back tonight later after the 2 semifinals to recap those games. And man, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Like the videos and share them. And let me know what you think about the tournament so far. Is it going the way you thought? Or is it going as full of surprises? I know the one thing that I'm really surprised at is that the 3-point shooting has not been good in the tournament for most teams. I know I've been harping on that, but I seeing those 17 and 15%, 7%, 0%. That, I mean, it's a tournament, and you're playing in a unusual place. Somewhere you're not used to, unfamiliar. But I think that has to improve. So I think TSU shot a pretty good percentage at 37. So they had a pretty good night from 3, and we'll see what they do tomorrow. We'll see what Alabama State does tomorrow, and we'll see what the winners of tonight's semifinals do tomorrow. So we'll be back a little bit later tonight with the recap of session 2. And with that being said, man, I'm out of here. I'll catch y'all later.